Hello and thanks for tuning in. I am that nerd dad, Joe Williamson. Welcome to the Just Joe Monday show. Doesn't that sound good? Sounds good, doesn't it? I appreciate you stopping by for another, I'm going to call this one a 20-minute visit because I got a bit of a rant I want to go off on. And I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off by, of all things, the Canadian flag. And stay tuned. You'll understand what that means in a minute. Also got the usual pop culture stuff for you to listen to. So, let's get into it. Wait, how do I almost forget on my own damn show? I need to ask you to hit subscribe or follow wherever you're listening or watching this. There's a subscribe, there's a follow, there's a 5-star, a thumbs up, a place to leave a review, a comment. All of these things are really important to me because they help grow the show. And last week, we were one of the top 100 parenting podcasts in Canada. It's amazing. I wasn't expecting that. I greatly appreciate everyone's support. This little show of mine keeps growing, and it's on the back of you. I do this a lot for me, a little for you, and it's starting to become the partnership. We're starting to do this together, so thank you. I really cannot thank you enough. Trust me, when my subscriber count goes up by 1, I show my wife my phone. I'm like, I got another one. I got another subscriber. So it's really important to me. Keep doing it. Thank you. Now, let's start the show.
Are you listening? Damn.
Okay, so we're going to start with, if you recall last week, I had kind of a shitty week, and I talked about all these things that went wrong. It continued into early last week, and we're going to do a visual here, but I Incredible Hulked my door handle off of the car on the van. I have a minivan. It was cold one morning. I guess the door handle was frozen. I went to open it, and you can see by the picture here, the handle came right off the door. I don't know if you've ever tried to get 2 kids into car seats without working sliding doors on the side. It's not fun. And I've already emailed a couple of body shops, and they're like, "Oh, we don't do that," sort of thing. I think I'm gonna have to take this to the dealership. I don't want to because they're gonna pay me. They're gonna charge me an arm and a leg. But yeah, I Incredible Hulk the door handle right off the van. Welcome to living in Canada, where it gets so cold, you too can rip apart your car. All right, so the next thing is a bit of a rant. I am not terribly prepared by this. I just had a visceral reaction while driving on the weekend. So in Canada, we've been dealing with this convoy anti-vax movement that has been co-opted by racists. And honestly, I don't even know if it was co-opted by racists. I think it was just always, I think the same people who are anti-vax. And again, I want to differentiate. The unvaccinated are not anti-vaxxers necessarily. There are a lot of legitimate reasons why someone cannot get vaccinated. I know several people who cannot or have been advised, don't get it. These people do not go online encouraging others to not get the vaccine. So there's a difference. An unvaccinated person, for medical reasons, is generally pretty timid about the whole thing. They're almost embarrassed by the fact that they can't get it. Someone who is anti-vax is trying to convert others to be anti-vaxxers as well, because they need friends. And their other family and friends are starting to alienate them. So, this kind of anti-vax rally has been co-opted. Now I think they called it anti-mandate, but whatever the case. Anyways, anti-mandate. And no one likes mandates. Who's like, yay, pro-mandate. Yay, I can't leave my house anymore. No one's pro-mandate, but these assholes have become it's freedom, and it's anti-mandate, and it's anti-vax, and it's white power, and it's they can't keep their messaging straight. Even the idea of calling it a convoy implies truckers, when like 90% of the truckers, I think it's 80% of the trucking population is vaccinated, so it's stupid. If they had just called this thing Occupy Ottawa, it would have been a better message. We're going to occupy Ottawa until they clear the vaccine mandates. Okay, that's a message I think a lot of people could understand. But Jesus Christ, it just turned into this big-ass party with honking horns, and it spread. On this past weekend, it spread throughout Canada. So there were rallies. I don't know what the hell you want to call them at this point. There were rallies in Quebec City, and Toronto, and Vancouver. I think I heard there was one. All the big kind of cities. They continued on with this nonsense. Ottawa has declared a state of emergency because they want to get these fucking rednecks out of here. So they're starting to clamp down on that, and they're going to shut that shit down. All that being said, I started by saying I was triggered, or I got a visceral reaction. And that was, and I'm showing an image here. It's kind of a generic image, but it's a pickup truck with a Canadian flag hanging out the back. In this case, attached to a hockey stick, because, Canada. So as I was driving on Saturday, went to visit an aunt, I saw a lot of pickup trucks with the Canadian flag, presumably heading downtown to attend the big redneck rally. And I was getting physically angry as I was driving. I could feel it in my body. My blood pressure was going up, and I was getting triggered. The right would say, "Oh, you're triggered, bro? You triggered?" Yeah, I was fucking triggered. Because I never thought the Canadian flag would trigger me. And I never thought seeing the Canadian flag would be less than a sense of pride. I take a lot of pride in Canada. I always have been very proud Canadian. And I don't know where that stems from. I don't want to be one of those guys who's like, well, my grandfather served in World War II. He did. He drove a tank. It was awesome. He used to joke about the only injury he suffered during World War II was when he dropped the tank lid on his thumb. Shattered his thumb. So, I remember that story. And I guess there's some pride from that. But I've just always been proud of the fact that we're like this awesome country that gives free health care, and we generally say please and thank you, and all of our stereotypes are really goofy and funny, and oh yeah, how's it going, eh? And I love this goddamn country. And then when I see the flag on a pickup truck, I'm like, fucking rednecks. Like, and the U.S. saw this as well. The co-opting of the flag by racists and freedom fighters or something. They're fighting for freedom in a country that allows them to protest and block traffic and make other people's lives inconvenient. If they lived in a country that wasn't free, they wouldn't be allowed to do that. I don't think they understand any of this shit. They don't understand what real restrictions would feel like. If there were police beating you with batons because you were protesting, that's not a lot of freedom. If we block off roads to make it easier for you to protest, that seems like lots of freedom. So, look, I was triggered by the Canadian flag, and that pisses me off. And now I'm getting angry with this whole protest and stuff, because I don't want them co-opting the flag. I have also always had a dream of owning a pickup truck. So now, Now I can't. I don't know if I necessarily want to do that anytime soon until the environment, the political climate has changed a little bit. But if I want to buy a pickup truck, am I like, look, I know how I look. I look like one of them. I also happen to really like country music. That's two strikes against me. What I look like and what I listen to. So if I then buy a pickup truck, that's three strikes. Now, if I happen to attach a Canadian flag to the back of that pickup truck and play country music, Jesus Christ, what will the neighbors think of me? I'm tired of this. And I'm not tired of the restrictions and the lockdowns. Yes, I'm tired of that shit. That goes without saying. I'm tired of the 5 or 10% of Canada holding the rest of us hostage. And the rest of us are so fucking complacent. Because we're Canadian. And it's got to come to a head eventually. And I think our government, our weak ass government, needs to step in and do something and crack down on this shit before these idiots become more emboldened and more empowered, and they actually try to do a January 6th. Because the longer this goes on, the more emboldened and more empowered they're going to feel. So I guess to kind of tie a bow on this rant, I'm kind of embarrassed by our country right now. And I'm embarrassed by a lot of the decision making. And I'm embarrassed about the way a lot of it's been executed. I'm embarrassed by the way it's being covered on the news. I'm just tired. Just tired of it. All right, that's enough of that. Let's go into something more fun. Let's go into something called Murderville. I started watching Murderville in the weekend. I have a very tight-knit group of shows that I watch. But when I saw the trailer for Murderville, I thought, I'm going to let this one get into my little world here. And Will Arnett plays Terry Seattle, a detective. And each episode, they have to solve a murder. Terry and the actors have the script. The guest sidekick each week does not have the script, and they have to improvise. And it's Conan O'Brien, Camille Nanjiani, Marshawn Lynch, Ken Jeong, I think Sharon Stone, and then the girl from Schitt's Creek. I apologize, I don't remember her name because I never watched Schitt's Creek. It's on my to-do list, but really funny show. So if you're looking for a nice laugh, we tend to watch it right before bed because it gives us a warm and fuzzies before bedtime. So I think it's only 8 episodes. We'll be done by the end of the week. Highly recommend. Last week it was announced that CW, home of the Arrowverse, has picked up a pilot for a show called Gotham Knights. And I'm going to read here because I think just the description of the show sounds amazing. The show will see Bruce Wayne's adopted son and the children of Gotham's most wanted supervillains teaming up to clear their names in the wake of Batman's murder. How awesome does that sound? Holy shit. Sign me up for Gotham Knights. Look, we're going to see, I would expect that we'll see Robin. I would expect that we'll see Nightwing, Batwoman, the Red Skull, not the Red Skull, the Red Hood. I almost got the old Captain America thing mixed up there. But that sounds really good. So it's been picked up for a pilot. You never know with these things, but my excitement level for that kind of show went up. Last week, Rockstar Games. I'm going to try and make this image bigger, but I don't think it's going to. Anyways, fuck it. Rockstar Games announced that they are in active development of Grand Theft Auto 6. That is, Grand Theft Auto 5 has been out for about 9 years now. So this is a long time. And they're kind of making these games kind of generational because of how big they're making them and how much expansions they add onto them. I don't play Grand Theft Auto. I have tried. I've never actually completed a Grand Theft Auto game. It's maybe a little embarrassing to admit. I like the mechanics. I like the stories. I just lose interest. Any game that has that much for me to do, I like a narrow storyline. I like a narrow storyline. I like a campaign mode. Red Dead Redemption. I played the main story and that's it. I got to the end. The Uncharted games, same thing. So, Grand Theft Auto 6 is gonna come out sometime in the next 2-3 years, and you or your kids will likely play it and enjoy it very much. I will hear a lot about it. I might talk about it a little if it has some sort of news or cultural significance, but otherwise, I'll skip it, just like anything else. Tell you a game I am playing, but is Wordle. Everyone's playing Wordle, right? Everyone's playing Wordle. I'm not addicted to Wordle, but in between meetings at work, if I need 5 minutes to kind of clear my head, I'll pop into Wordle to see. But they were purchased last week by the New York Times. New York Times, home of the world famous New York Times crossword puzzle. This just kind of adds to their game portfolio, if you will. I don't see any changes coming to this, except for the fact that I would expect a Wordle app. That's my prediction. I think they'll put a Wordle app in there, and then there'll be all kinds of like little bonus shit. You want to pay to see a letter? You can pay to see a letter. And that's how they'll earn a little bit more coin on that, because apparently they paid upwards of $10 million for this game. They're going to want some return on their investment. And it's not going to be just through advertising dollars. It will be through microtransactions. I am almost certain of it. Stay tuned for news on Wordle. Unless it becomes no longer relevant, then I will no longer cover it. Hey, did you know the Olympics are going on? I'm not even sure if I can say Olympics without this thing being blocked on YouTube. But yeah, the Winter Games started last week. I had no idea. I found out the day of. I don't know anyone who's talking about it. I don't know anything that's going on. I knew it was in Beijing because they were the only ones who were kind of well equipped to still host another Olympics. But outside of that, I know nothing about it. If you know anything about the Winter Olympics, feel free to share with me. And we're going to end on Tom Brady, the GOAT. The greatest of all times for you older people listening. He announced his retirement 22 years after playing in the NFL. I am not a Tom Brady fan, and a lot of that's because I was a Peyton Manning guy. I was. Look, I can respect greatness, even if I don't necessarily like the individual. And you cannot deny his greatness on the field. 22 years in the NFL, umpteen rings, umpteen blah, 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 blah. We all know his accolades. But when I came into the NFL, when my friends got me into the NFL, because I wasn't really into it, but they got into it, and peer pressure. I took Peyton Manning. I was a Peyton Manning guy. I liked the Colts. I liked the way he looked at the game. And it was always Manning versus Brady. And in my heart, I always knew Brady was better. But there was an argument to be made that Manning was better. And then just the way Brady has performed over 22 years. You can't argue that. He's the GOAT. So NFL will look different next year without him. That's for sure. It's in good hands with the Mahomes of the world. The NFL will not go anywhere. And I guess see you later, Tom Brady. That's it. That's the show. Where the hell's my next slide? There it is. That's it. Game over. That's the show. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it. Hey, if you didn't catch last week's interview with Shannon New Spangler, hospital chaplain and pastor, it was a really, really good conversation. I had a lot of responses from that interview, with people saying how much they enjoyed it. So I encourage you to go back and listen to that one. This week, Snarky Mommy 78 Gretel is coming back. No real topic of discussion. Not doing an interview. I'm going to talk parenting, hot topics. So I'm going to find a bunch of parenting hot topics, and we're going to discuss that. Maybe some marriage hot topics. And we're going to shoot the shit on that stuff for 15, 20 minutes. And then next week, I've got comedian Steve Patterson booked. Big time guest for us. Legit Canadian star. In the vein of Brittle Star, except way more television exposure. So you might recognize, you probably would recognize him less. I'm about to say you might recognize him more, but you probably wouldn't, because Brittle Star is on your phone 100% of the time. Steve is a legend on CBC and his show, The Debaters. And we're going to talk parenting, and I'm sure it'll be a hoot. So looking forward to that conversation. That was a big get for a little show like mine. Tell your friends. I want to thank DeanBlundell.com, of course. DeanBlundell.com, home of Canada's #1 podcast network. He goes Monday to Friday, 3-ish. It's one of the best podcasts in Canada. Their coverage of the Redneck Rally has been top-notch. They got Karima. She's the best. And then that's it. So, listen, subscribe, share, watch. Tell a friend. Hit me up on my socials. Comment. Tell me you love me. Tell me you hate me. Tell me what you want to hear me talk about. I'm down for it all. This is your show as well. Like this is for us. So that's the Monday. Oh, I almost screwed it up. Just Joe Monday show. And be well. Be safe. We'll talk later on in the week.
Thanks for listening.
Damn.